Well, it's that time. Mighty companion.
Wow.
So I'm handing the mic over to Reverends Glen, Getaway, and Yolanda Mix, who are muted. So they're going to unmute themselves. Mwah.
Hello! Hey! Here we go!
Oh, here we go, right here.
We're right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Church with a 2-Drink Minimum.
Alright, everybody ready? We're gonna sing. Hey, Glen, I'll tell you. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Welcome to the church with a 2-Drink Minimum. Welcome to the church with a 2-Drink Minimum. We are interfaith, interspiritual, God optional. So relax and get ready for a celebration. Welcome to the church with a 2-Drink Minimum. One more time now. Welcome to the church with a 2-Drink Minimum.
Hey, human!
Doggy!
We never can't leave out the wee doggies, can we?
Don't forget the wee
I
doggies.
know. How is your Sunday going?
Ah, it's great.
It is so
It's
beautiful,
so beautiful over here. I hope it is where you are.
Thank
Simon says, I have my 2 drinks, water and tea. Yes. Well, today, as you noticed, we have a different tea. This is Ashwan tea.
It matches my hat.
It does. We're out of our favorite sorrel tea.
I know, we've had to order it, and it's back order.
Yeah, so we will have our red tea again.
Uh-huh.
But today,
Ashwan
is really, really good. It's a seed that is very, very nutritious, and you can make a tea, or you can put it in other food that you cook. And it's full of protein, and it really helps stop different kinds of cravings and things like that.
I started doing a cup of hot tea, Ashwan tea in the morning, and I cut my caffeine intake in half.
It's pretty cool.
You know, so if that works for you, you know.
For me, it's hard to find, but you can order it online, and it's
Indian, as in East India.
East India, yeah. AJWAIN is how you spell it.
And we love it.
And we love it. And it's really good for you. So we had so much fun at the homily this morning.
We did.
Really,
We've been talking about it since then.
We have, and it's interesting because actually Regina shared a couple of things that I was gonna share anyway.
Yeah.
Vigilance. Yes. We've been talking about vigilance.
Who's been talking about vigilance?
Yes.
You know, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a little about discernment and like being able to take the measure of your actions and your thoughts. What do they produce? If you've got what worldview does your thinking create? Right,
which was so amazing.
Right on with Regina's message.
It was just, I was so excited about how in sync that felt.
Yeah.
You know, it was also in sync with the lesson of the day. Hey, Connie. Hey, Connie and Ellen. So I have a lot to share. She also mentioned, you know, Easter season and the first day of spring, which it is, and we totally celebrate Ostara, which is where Easter, you know, comes from. So we're going to read a little bit about Ostara to you, but first we must do our sing along.
I know.
And I'm playing my ukulele again because I just think it's cute and I like it. So here we go.
You know the song, sing along.
Let things be. Let things be. Exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
You can't change me.
You can't change me.
And you can't change God.
Because you can't change God.
So let things be.
Let things be.
Exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
And you and me.
So you and me
will live in peace.
We live in peace.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know
what anything is for.
what anything is for.
Unless I listen to that still small voice.
I have a still small voice
telling me,
it's telling me
this simple truth, that everything is for my good. So let things be.
I let things be
exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
You can't change me.
You can't change me.
And you can't change
Because you can't change God.
So let things be.
Let things be
exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
And you and me.
So you and me
will live in peace.
We live in peace.
I'm not this body.
I'm not this body.
Although I love my body, especially
it's
right now.
Very useful.
I'm not this body.
I'm not this body
that you see.
That you see.
I am as God.
I am as God
created me.
God created me.
And we are all
one
family.
One family.
And it's possible.
Yes, it's possible
to live in peace.
We live in peace.
So bring it on home. Let things be.
Let things be
exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
You can't change me.
You can't change me.
And you can't change
because you can't change God.
So let things be.
I let things be
exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
And you and me.
So you and me
will live in peace.
We live in peace. Kumbaya.
The kumbaya.
I know.
So, cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Happy Sunday. Happy spring. Happy
Ostara.
Ostara. So let's read a little bit.
Alrighty.
About Ostara. Thank you. So, you know what? Ostara. Now, one thing that I think is really interesting about when we move into spring is that we tend to forget that we're in the northern hemisphere and it's spring, and in the southern hemisphere it's going
fall.
into autumn. Yeah.
But the balance is the same. The balance of light and dark are the same.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Mebon or the fall equinox and the spring equinox are the balance of the light and dark.
Oh, yes, exactly.
But this is dark this is the triumph of light.
Over dark, what we're experiencing. Yes. So it's exactly what it says. It's a point of, Ostara is a point of perfect balance on the journey through the wheel of the year. Night and day are of equal length and in perfect equilibrium. Dark and light, masculine and feminine, inner and outer in balance.
I know.
I love that. So it is time for the hopes to become action. The energy that we're moving into is expansive and exuberant. And Ostara takes its name after the Germanic goddess Esther, or Ostara, E-O-S-T-R-E, or /O-S-T-A-R-A, who was traditionally honored in the month of April with festivals to celebrate fertility, renewal, and rebirth. Yes, and it was from Ostara that the Christian celebration of Easter evolved. And an interesting fact that we found out, and indeed the naming of the hormone estrogen, essential to women's fertility, is from the goddess Ostara, and her animal is a hare, a rabbit. Yeah, a rabbit.
She's sometimes pictured as a beautiful woman with a rabbit's head and shoulders.
I just love it. So I guess that's obviously is why we fertility. Yes. But obviously why we have Easter bunnies. Stuff like that. And then the egg is also a symbol of fertility. And the hot cross bun was mentioned in this article. Not only is it a Christian thing, but it's a Celtic thing too, where it emphasizes
conjunction.
Conjunction, exactly.
The important days when the
So I don't know. I thought that was really fun to share, and I was really happy that we were able to do that. But look at what the lesson is for today.
I know. My favorite word in this lesson is recognize.
Right. Okay. And this to me speaks
This is lesson 80.
It's lesson 80, and it really does go hand in hand, I think, with Regina's homily this morning. So lesson 80 is let me recognize my problems have been solved. Now,
it should be comforting.
Yes. I was going to say, like, if I am able to recognize that my problems have been solved, I might not need to look back over my shoulder at everybody else,
somebody else,
and control or fix someone else. So let me share a little bit of this. If you're willing to recognize your problems, you will recognize that you have no problems.
See, if you can see clearly, you know
Right.
what to do when they aren't problems.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And it's separation. As you're just talking about, separation is the only problem.
Your one central problem has been answered.
Solved. Yeah, your only problem has been solved. Repeat this over and over to yourself today with gratitude and conviction. So that's you can go back to the screen now. That's what we were really talking about as we took a walk today after the homily. We decided to go for a walk in our neighborhood, and we were really talking about remembering this with conviction, vigilance.
How would I act if I could walk around and know that my problems were solved?
Right.
You know,
right.
That it wasn't a mystery about how things, like all things work together for my good. You know, let things be as they are. What do these actions, what does that look like for me walking around in the world? Well, it's a lot less anxiety.
That's true.
It'd be a lot less idea of looking for problems to solve.
Exactly.
See, that was the mindset I've been in, looking for problems to solve.
See, yes, that's what I've been noticing. I'm so glad you shared that, because I've been noticing, that I do that too. Like, have you ever been like, you're perfectly fine, everything's fine, and you even feel good, but maybe you go for a walk or somewhere or do something, and you just have to find something to be angry about or pissed off about. Something pisses you off, even though you're in a good mood and everything's fine and there's nothing wrong. But, I have notice this in myself, and of course that's the ego talking and trying to get me off track and distract me and everything like that.
But you provide a solution that doesn't work.
Yes. And to emphasize separation, of course,
and I've got patterns in my head that I sometimes I recognize and sometimes I don't.
Right. So the word recognize, you're right, is key, I think, today in this lesson,
because I can do something about it. If I can see it or name it or look at it or see, I might be able to do something about it. I might be able to turn it over to the Holy Spirit, or find out what the triggers me, or like the Holy Spirit says, if you knew the gift that fear had to offer, and it's any emotion really, joy, or sadness or grief. If we knew the gift of this information that we're getting from the world about what it's like to be us with these beliefs and walking around in this physical body that has consequences with these beliefs and feelings, and to move through these energies, and
that's
we can make different choices, because do you like how you feel? Do you like how things are going? Evaluate with the things what we're paying attention to, and how we think, and how we outpicture the world. And I'm going to be talking about that a little bit today, because it's been very impactful for me this week.
It has, and I'm so glad you're going to share. It's been impactful for me too, to look at how easy it is for me to get distracted, and how I can set myself off on some little fit of ridiculousness, even when everything's going just fine, as if I have to need something to get upset about, and it's funny. Do
you have a friend that stirs the pot in your kind of thing, they kind of like stirs the pot a little?
Well, let's do this. Let's move into our circle of love. And when we move out of this meditation moment, this the song I want to share with you today is that it was recorded and videoed at Church with a 2-Drink Minimum when we were performing in the clubs. And this particular song is called "So in God's Hands," and it's a truly interfaith song because we have a Sanskrit chant and a Hebrew prayer, and we also have the Christian song, I say, "She's got the whole world in her hands." So I wanted to move us into this idea that our problems are solved, and that God has everything in her hands. So yeah, here we go.
With conviction and gratitude.
With conviction, gratitude, and vigilance.
There you go.
All right, so let's take 3 breaths together. And on the last breath, exhale with an Om. Here we go. The energy of Om, the sound of the universe, the sound that everything is okay, the sound that all of our problems are solved, that there is only one problem, separation, and that problem is already solved. In this circle of love that we are co-creating right now, we can't help but feel the joy of the knowledge that all of our problems are solved. And we just let that joy bubble up inside of us right now and just spill out into the rooms that we're in, and to the people that we're with, and into our buildings and our neighborhoods and our streets, our cities, our country, and our world. We know that in this circle of love is included everything that we like and everything that we do not like. And even though we may not like it, it's still a part of our teaching, our learning, our growing, our remembering who we are, and our remembering that all of our problems have been solved. So with this knowledge, we acknowledge and understand and know and proclaim that we are seated on land that once belonged to our Native American ancestors, and in our part of the world, that is the Lenape tribe and the Abenaki tribe. We also understand and acknowledge and proclaim that Black Lives Matter and Black trans lives matter. And we also acknowledge within all of this that all our problems are solved, and that human consciousness is shifting, and that everything is in God's hands. And so it is, and blessed be.
Tatsavi Wonderful, beautiful, so in God's hands. And now I feel wonderful, so in God's hands. And now I feel wonderful, beautiful, so in God's hands. And now I feel wonderful, so in God's hands. And now I feel wonderful, she's in the so in God's hands. And now I feel wonderful, so in God's hands. And now I feel wonderful, beautiful.
That's so trippy, isn't it? Is that wonderfully trippy?
Oh, Kathy has joined us.
Hi,
hey,
Kathy.
Oh, it's so nice to see you. Wow. Well, I was really so happy to share that with you today. It makes me feel really good to say that.
I don't know if you can hear the crowd like that. The whole bar is singing. The whole bar is singing in this clip. I don't know if you can.
It's funny though
hear that or not, but
it was really funny, to do this in bars, because to hear people in bars singing something like "So in God's hands, now I feel wonderful, beautiful," is really.
And we're in the back room, so there's also like this front bar. So people were like, open the door. What's going on in the back room of this bar?
It's really fun. Maybe we'll get
we're
to
having
do that
cocktails,
again.
talking about God, having cocktails.
This is just tea today.
It is. We did mostly have tea, but
yeah. So we have a really interesting lesson today that you're gonna share with us, and just so everybody knows, we do a class online on Wednesday nights, and you're always invited if you would like to join us. It is from 7 to 9, and you can just email me, Yolanda@yolanda.net, and say you'd like to join us, and I'll get you all hooked up.
That's true.
So we do this every week, every Wednesday, and Glenn creates a booklet every week about the section that we're going to
I've been doing
study.
that for about 10 years.
Yeah, you have. You've been doing it a long time. And today is a really interesting one, I think. So,
well, this is chapter 8. This is called The Journey Back, and this is from section 1. It's called The Direction of the Curriculum. So this chapter 8 is like an index. I said this about chapter 7, and I was wrong. Chapter 7 is about meeting the teacher, and chapter 8 is about, okay, this is what the course is about. This is the plan. This is the curriculum. Now, remember, in the first opening introduction to A Course in Miracles, it says, because this is A Course in Miracles. It's a required course. Remember this part? Only the time that you take it is voluntary. Free will doesn't mean that you can establish the curriculum. What is the curriculum? Like, you don't get to choose the what? I don't get to choose the curriculum. I get to only, and I don't even get to choose the subject matter. I only get to choose the order.
In
right?
which you take it.
And that's everybody. So what is this mandatory curriculum?
Now that's a good question. Also, what is how you the choice you make in taking the time you take in
the choice you have is the time that you take to learn it.
To learn it? Oh, the amount of time that that we're thinking in this.
The order,
the reality, the order of it. Okay.
Human beings think about time, right?
Okay, gotcha.
And if you were joining us, Jacqueline and I on Fridays,
which was
another
good.
plug there for you. Fridays at 8, Jacqueline and I are going through the teacher's manual. We talked this week about what are pupils, and so she said. So the discussion of pupils was a lot about, or students, was about time, how time functions in learning. And how time functions in teaching and the teaching and learning experience. It just looks like we're learning. We're providing this, because she calls this remembering, right? So we already know how do we get to the authentic expression by removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. My own presence of love. How do I remove the blocks to my awareness of my own presence of love? That's being able to measure what you think and what you do, and how it is out picturing the world for you. How we are experiencing this world. Like what they say. Oprah made this phrase popular: "Hurt people hurt people."
Yeah,
right. You've heard that. So is that what's the worldview that creates suffering? What's the worldview for you, or the idea or the core principle that is actually the source of chronic suffering or chronic anxiety? And the only way to do that is to really measure what you think and what you do, which means we've got to be aware of and normalize this idea of being present to what we're thinking and what we're doing and where we are in the world and all of this.
Okay, cool. Now you're using the word measure, and you've used the word evaluate when you're talking about this. Kind of give me a little more insight on those words. Like, so that sounds very clinical to me. Measure this, evaluate that.
Who's right-brained?
Yeah, right. Cool. And I understand. And I understand, like, from being, living with you and being with you and everything. But I kind of want to hear a little bit about how that outpictures, practically in a different word, not like, so evaluation in practice is what?
Well, what the course says our default setting, or your original factory setting, is joy.
Joy.
Right? So if we're not experiencing joy, it means that if you're not experiencing this joy, this joyful presence, then what we've done is to create. Now we're doing the creation of a obstacle to that awareness.
Got it.
And so, it's not the obstacle that's happening to me, it's me creating an obstacle so I don't experience reality or the love of God or your beautiful presence, or what is happening to me, the presence, your lovely presence.
Sana just said she liked that metaphor about the
default setting.
Yeah, the default setting, right? That's cute.
Return to default settings. Return to default settings.
Joy, 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 joy down in my heart.
So the two images. The two images I'd like you to have in your head is: have you ever? I don't know about. I'm gonna start this sentence again. Real often in men's bathrooms, there's a scale that you put money into, and that weighs you, and it gives you like a fortune kind of thing. Have you ever seen these things?
That was a long time ago, and it's not.
Sometimes they're in rest stops or restrooms, or they're like, I don't know.
Pharmacies used to have them.
Oh yeah. It used to be drugstores and pharmacies and things like that. So you got on it, and it told, by measuring you or weighing you, it could tell you what your personality is, like your personality traits and your fortune.
Sina just said that there is one in the mall here in Florida. In the women's restroom. Okay. Wow.
Okay. So, they're in the men's restroom too, and since I don't go in the women's restroom, I don't generally know that thing.
Funny.
I know.
That's funny. Okay.
So
I didn't know they were still around.
So it's this way of like measuring something to see its outcomes. Like if you can see something or measure, or you understand it, then you can kind of predict what the outcome is going to be, like a thought system. Right. If you're hurt people.
Right.
Angry people, are, create,
more anger.
They live in, so that idea of measuring, being able to have an outcome.
Got it.
The other piece in one of the pastimes in Vermont, because there's lots of little streams everywhere. One of the pastimes is in Vermont is stone stacking, stone balancing. Have you ever done the balancing stone things where you put up a stone and you balance another stone right on top of it? It looks, and you make little sculptures and see how tall you can get it or something like that. So it takes real presence and like being quiet and still to create and see and make that balance, that harmony sort of happen. It takes will and know-how and being able to judge and be able to see it's too heavy on this side and be able to perfectly balance, those things. Because they just get knocked,
It's really beautiful when you
when you see a whole bunch of them and stuff like that. They're kind of neat.
I have actually in Vermont,
it's a thing. I've never seen it before, but it's a thing.
No, it is a thing in Vermont, and I have actually just come across one while just walking out in the woods, where somebody has been there before and just set one up, and I find it's amazing.
It's really very cool. So those two images, the balance, harmony, the attention paid to being able to see the balance, the harmony that was already there, from Desperate Rocks or whatever like that. So this is called the journey back. It's called the curriculum. So this is again an idea of remembering, and she's going to talk about. Why don't you read the read these two sentences?
All right. Okay? So we've underlined a few things here in the first paragraph. Knowledge is not the motivation for learning this course. How about that?
I was surprised. I was like, oh yeah,
because you're a smarty pants.
I know, because I want to know.
I want to know. Knowledge is not the motivation for learning this course. Peace is.
Peace.
Dun, da, da, da. And peace is the condition of knowledge because it is the condition of the kingdom. Knowledge can be restored only when you meet its condition.
Okay. Knowledge can be restored. You can have the knowledge back only when you meet the conditions of peace.
Right.
So the first thing we do is have a peaceful mind or peaceful outlook, or being able to align ourselves with this idea of peace, whatever that is, right? Because what's the first law of chaos? No, the obstacles.
The obstacle.
Yeah. What's the first obstacle to peace?
Is you don't want it.
Yeah. so that's
what she says.
Because we don't even understand what it is. So so we have a motivation to change, or to grow, or to heal, or awaken. Lots of words for this, and it looks like knowledge, right? The knowledge of good and evil, right? Is knowledge got us kicked out of the Garden of Eden, right? So this motivation looks like I want to know, looks like knowledge, but it's really peace, because all things flow from peace. The condition for the knowledge to spring into our awareness or our ability to use it comes from this container of peace, this container of being in reality where peace is located. So the misuse of this power, this creativity, the misuse of our attention or our intent, all good words, is the imaginary will of the ego. It's imaginary.
Yes.
Right, because these solutions are imaginary. They're about getting and acquiring, something you can't really do. Right? And it's about power over in order to control, right? So this power over, this control. And this imaginary ego, this getting idea, this power over, destroys the conditions to acquire peace.
Exactly.
It's with hierarchies and the hegemony, there's no experience of peace. There's no real way of accessing peace. It's the paradigm doesn't allow it. It allows for conflict and competition and getting and above and below. It's not ever peace. And she's asking us in this first paragraph to say, so what's your allegiance? What do you pledge allegiance to?
Myself.
What do you pledge allegiance to? Is it peace? Is it the knowledge of God? Is it our certain destiny? Is it perfect happiness? Am I in allegiance with my perfect happiness? Well, sometimes I'm in allegiance with suffering.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes I'm in allegiance with disappointment.
Right.
So that's what I'm talking about. This weigh these things. Put them on the scale and weigh them. What is the motivation for you to do the things that you do? Where is our allegiance to our perfect happiness or knowledge or reality or love? We can put all kinds of words in there. It will be your personal way of doing that. Where is our allegiance? And it's a mindset. It's a lifestyle. Our allegiance to the truth. Our allegiance to, we were playing a song earlier before everybody got here. Waheguru. Like the allegiance to the teacher, to the all-powerful, all-knowing inner teacher. So read the next bit.
I am, but I want to jump back into the room. We're switching back and forth from the screen. And I just wanted to check in with everybody.
Beautiful faces.
Hi, beautiful
check in the beautiful faces. I know.
Okay. We'll move back. Okay. Oh, I love this. The ego has no power to distract you unless you give it the power to do so.
That's how powerful we are.
You are merely asked to evaluate something.
Right.
You're not asked to dispel your hallucinations alone. You are merely asked to evaluate them. Oh, well, that's good, because I have a lot. In terms
of the results
to you.
Yeah. To you. The results to you. We're hallucinating. This is the blocks of the awareness of my own nature, right? I don't even know who I am or how to act or like how to outpicture my life or who I am. I'm hallucinating. Hallucinating enemies, hallucinating conflict, hallucinating the way things got to be, this power over and control in order to that happiness. I throw peace out, because I want to control. That looks like a better answer. Well, look at those results when you do that. Don't beat yourself up by saying, wow, I really reached for the control and the power over, and I didn't reach for truth or unity or compassion or forgiveness or letting go of grievances. I didn't, I had things, I placed my allegiance where the results weren't what I wanted. And this is an idea of taking responsibility for how we walk and move and work in the world. Take responsibility for our thoughts and our mindset and what we say and where we go and what we do. It's the power to experience reality when we take responsibility for it. Because the more responsibility that we take for our own lives and the direction that we're heading and the experiences that we're having, the more we have experiences of reality. And this helps us do that, evaluate. Please evaluate them, she says. It leads us to the knowledge. It leads us to creating peace. Because it leads us to the community. When she says, you don't have to do this alone. And that's always the first thing, isn't it? We isolate. I don't know about you, but I isolate, shut down, and I try to do it by myself.
Excuse me.
Right. So we have assistance. This responsibility is a responsibility to say, I'm hallucinating, or I don't understand, or I'm upset, or I'm confused, or whatever it is, or I have confusion.
Or I have to, hold on.
You're having a moment.
I'll be right back.
So we have this power to hallucinate. We have, so this leads to a loss of peace. And the counteraction to that is the knowledge that we're alone and friendless. The first step toward peace is reaching out to your brother. The first step toward peace is to know I'm not alone and friendless. Do we take advantage of that? This is another form of allegiance. What world are we in allegiance to? The world of suffering and loss and lack? Or are we in allegiance to a world of love and fulfillment and abundance and joy?
Exactly.
We're not alone and friendless. The first step toward creating an atmosphere of peace in which the knowledge of who we are can come to us is to reach out, and say, and share how you feel and what it is like for you with another person.
That's awesome. Yeah, I want to go back into the room for a second. Wow, we're doing good here. I like this line that we're moving through, because it's helping me, and I'm really glad that you emphasized we're not alone and friendless, because sometimes this can feel like it. Like when I
wasn't it the first thing you do? You want to be alone. You get your feelings hurt. You make a mistake. You treat somebody poorly, or
right. And
tell somebody off on the internet.
Right.
How's that working out?
How is that working out for you? Thank you very much. Yeah, that's what we're exploring right now. Every response to the ego is a call to war. Oh my God, we were so talking about this today.
We were.
And I even forgot that it was in the lesson. Every response to the ego is a call to war, and war does deprive you of peace. Hello. Yet in this war, there is no opponent. This is the reinterpretation of reality that you must make to secure peace. That there's no opponent.
There's no opponent. You're making it up.
You're making it up. And the only one you need ever make, the reinterpretation of reality. When you give up peace, you're excluding yourself from it, of course.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't it true? Often we get in these circles and peace is out there. Because peace is to be acquired after you say magic words.
Oh, yeah.
Or peace is something that something that you earn or have to buy or pay dues for. It'll be better later. You'll feel better later.
Right.
Well, this is the two states of mind. This is the two modes of living that she's talking about here: a war with no opponent, or a method or a lifestyle to secure peace. Secure peace, right? There are two states of mind. One is a war with no opponent, because we're making up an enemy, because the enemy doesn't exist.
Right.
We're making it up. It's the call to war. It's the call to violent solutions. It's the call for power over. It requires an opponent and somebody to push back against you. It's a hallucination. It's the ego's vision. It's the ego's will. It's not trying to distract us. That's just what it does. So we are distracted, because we have more support a lot in our world for the hallucination, rather than a world of love and caring and support. So
that's true.
Remember this law. Give up. We give up what you share. You give, you share what you share. You receive what you share.
Oh, so this is you're speaking to have all, give all?
Yes.
So giving.
So and the ego thinks that what you give up, you lose.
I see.
So this, to secure peace, it's a reinterpretation of how the entire world works. Right. It's not easy.
Right.
It is not easy to believe that you have everything that you need.
Right.
It is not easy to go against this programming that we've had as children, that we're not enough and we must achieve a certain thing in order to have value.
Well, so I want to say let's not go against it. Let's just release it.
Right.
You know
Just
what I
let
mean?
it go. You don't see, that isn't an enemy. That's a
Right.
false, that's a war without an opponent.
Right.
That's an idea. That's not a person. That's a way of being that we can weigh and look at and know that it doesn't lead to where we want. So we don't have to fight it and wrestle it to the ground or even baptize it like I thought I used to do, needed to do. I need to let it go.
Yes, exactly.
It's the reinterpretation of reality, and I have assistance. I'm not alone and friendless.
Right.
Sharing is having. This idea that if I can create the conditions from peace, that knowledge will flow. So beautiful.
Okay.
This is very short.
We're in the next paragraph here. Your past learning must have taught you the wrong things simply because it has not made you happy.
This seems so simple.
It does.
Are we looking at that though? Are we looking at that though?
Right.
Your past learning must have taught you the wrong things simply because
it's not made you happy. Right. So just, and it's something we have to keep remembering and remembering. Yeah. Because, whatever. I think Regina was talking about that too today. But just because I know what reminded me. She was talking about spiritual leaders who had come to a certain place and then they do
kind of collapse.
So I can see for myself how I could collapse. You see what I mean? Like when I follow that past learning. So this is so good. Your past learning must have taught you the wrong things simply because
so let them go.
Made you happy.
Let it go. Let it go. Don't evaluate.
Dissatisfaction with learning outcomes is a sign of learning failure, since it means that you did not get what you wanted.
Who has learned failure? Who has learned failure? Who has failure as a part of their early identity?
Oh, okay.
Evaluating learning outcomes. Evaluate your learning outcomes.
Okay. Meaning what?
The ego leads to unhappiness. The ego is not happy, can't be happy, won't be happy. So this idea that I can be happy following the advice of this tiny mad idea doesn't work. And you can write it out. You can say, oh, well, when I did that, this always happens. And I keep doubling down on my own suffering. Well, the other side of that is learning what our inner nature is, what our truest nature is. And she says over and over again, it's wholly joyous and at peace. We're already at peace. We're just manufacturing blocks to the awareness of love's presence.
It's so clear to me. I think that's why I'm so like, oh my God. It's so clear to me.
The creation of enemies that aren't there.
Yeah.
And insisting on doubling down on learning the wrong things is what's getting me today.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay. Really good.
So,
all right. So
read this part. We're about done.
The curriculum of the atonement is the opposite of the curriculum you have established for yourself, but so is its outcome.
Right. So this is really, really ethical.
Yeah.
So I had I did something I do on the regular. I look up words I think I know what mean.
Ah, right.
To try to get a refresher about what these words mean.
Right.
Well, and so I looked up atonement. And its first use, I think, in the 1500s, and it comes from at one.
Yeah.
And it means harmony. It's a pastoral term. It means like the birds are at one with the forest, and that you're at one with your surroundings. You're at one with your faith. It means harmony.
Lovely.
It just means harmony and balance, and I like that idea to add on to like this subtleness and the feeling tones of what an atonement is. This is the curriculum. She says it real. This is the curriculum of the atonement. Sounds big and fancy because this is how you create the conditions of peace. She could have said that.
Okay.
This is how the conditions of peace are met so that learning and knowledge can happen to us. And it's the beginning of the curriculum. You want to know will create the conditions of peace. She uses this metaphor to say, change your direction. If you know you're going in the wrong direction, don't lament one more step in that direction. Just change the direction. Even our hurts point in the direction of our good, away from the hurt, away from the anxiety, away from the depression, away from the hurt and the trauma. So there are two teachers. she offers us here. They're diametrically opposed. One is real, and one isn't. So these are just, then they have discordant central ideas. Their central makeup, their operating factor, their default setting, if you will, are completely different. Yeah. And these ideas can't be integrated. They can't be meshed together. They create one thing or half of one. Illusion and not illusion aren't yin yang. They don't fit together. One exists and one doesn't.
Right.
One we can work with, it is reliable, and the other one always brings suffering because we're going against the laws of God. That doesn't mean God is punishing us. Right. It means that we're working on a machine or an idea or a system incorrectly, so it doesn't produce the results
that we want.
God's not being mean. The world's not being mean to you or to me when we're ignorant. It just says if you operate this way and you walk in the world this way, there are consequences to pushing against the outpicturing of that mindset is suffering. And so we can choose a life that is volatile and without direction. And who has had a volatile life without direction? It's called my 20s. Volatile without direction.
Mine lasted up into my 40s.
I'm telling you, I don't know. That might be the first volume of my memoirs. The memoirs of Reverend Glen Ganaway. Volatile without direction. So
not now though.
One can be let go and the other cannot.
Right.
You can let go of illusion. You cannot let go of reality. You can only paper over it.
Yeah.
So read this bit and we're done.
Okay. The total senselessness of such a curriculum must be fully recognized before a real change in direction becomes possible. Right. You cannot learn simultaneously from two teachers who are in total disagreement about everything. Their joint curriculum presents an impossible learning task. They are teaching you entirely different things in entirely different ways, which might be possible, except that both are teaching you about yourself. Your reality is unaffected by both. But if you listen to both, your mind will be split about what your reality is.
So this is where she introduces the idea of a split mind.
Wow.
The mind is split because we want to make something that's not true. We want to have the experience of power over as opposed to power with. We want to be in a hierarchy. We want to be able, we think it's better to control. I know I've been there.
This week.
And convincing I'll be okay if I can just convince this person,
Me too.
of the rightness of my thinking,
Right. It's been quite a thing this week, but I do it too. However, I write songs about it.
I have Twitter feuds.
You have Twitter feuds, yeah. Oneness and separation can't be combined.
They cannot be combined. I know.
Yeah, exactly.
I say this very often. I say this really often. Before I really, I went to the jungles of Peru to do ayahuasca, and I got to meet my ego in my ethnogenic hallucinations, literal hallucinations, drug-induced hallucinations in the Peruvian jungle and everything like that.
It's quite a thing.
So one of the things I did is I met my ego, or what my brain did to the ego. And I say this a lot in my teachings on Wednesday night. My ego appeared to me as a very well-dressed, because I like clothes, a very well-dressed lizard. My lizard brain, my survival, my getting over, my willing to fight, claws and teeth, but elegant. Just, elegant, dressed to the nines, perfect, everything. Really, really bad advice.
Yeah.
So in my ayahuasca, lizard brain, exactly.
Yeah,
so so in my hallucination, my trance, my dream state for the ayahuasca, she introduced me to my ego, and what I had to do in this thing was remove the ego from the control center of my own being. I had to kick the lizard out of the big desk, because I'm like a businessman, right? So I do spreadsheets and everything. So in me, I was sitting out front where the secretary or the assistant sits, and my ego was sitting in the big chair with all the control and everything like that. I had to go kick the ego out of my office and assume the responsibilities instead of being afraid or timid to make good mistakes or make bad mistakes or do the evaluating myself, rather than letting a system be opposed on me, like the hegemony of the world or destruction and contributing to the suffering of others. How could I take responsibility for not doing that, and to come up with my own authentic self-expression, because I couldn't do that with the listening to the advice of a very well-dressed lizard. But that's what I'd like you to do. It's like, evaluate the advice that you're getting. Evaluate the world that this advice or this idea or whatever is being outpictured, because you can really tell. I know you can. You can tell what world it builds for you,
right,
if you'll just put it on the scale and look at it without judgment, or without, letting this, oh, wow, I was doing that. Anyway.
Bravo.
And you're a church with a 2-drink minimum.
Do Geico commercials make you feel funny?
Vicious. Vicious.
All right, let's share a little bit of freedom.
Freedom. All right.
Let's share freedom.
Every thought we think, every word we speak is creating our future.
You know my soul is singing. You know my soul is singing. For freedom. Yeah. Are you in charge of your life? Do you make it your own? Do you follow your heart? Yeah. This moment is your home. Do you see love all around you? And let compassion fill your soul. And feeling all of your sensations. We are free and we are whole. And so our thoughts create our freedom. Freedom. Rock with me, baby. Rock with me, baby. Yeah. Freedom. Rock with me, baby. Yeah. Or do you love to suffer? Are you comfortable with pain? Well, try living in the flow, in the state of well-being. And don't you worry about tomorrow. You just stay in the now. All is good if you can see it. It all works out somehow. So our thoughts create our freedom. Freedom. Rock with me, baby. Rock with me, baby. Yeah. Freedom. Rock with me, baby. Yeah.
All of us are on a journey to love and appreciate who you are. We are divine, magnificent expressions of life. The universe loves gratitude. The more grateful you are, the more things you have to be grateful about.
Does your intuition guide you? Or do you lay awake at night? Do you believe in the power? Yeah. 'Cause you know it's your birthright. And in your moments of confusion, when you can't find the way, there's an answer deep inside you that puts you back in harmony. And so our thoughts create our freedom. Freedom. Rock with me, baby. Rock with me, baby. Yeah. Freedom. Rock with me, baby. Yeah. Freedom. Rock with me, baby. Rock with me, baby. Yeah. totally singing for
Oh, thank you. So wonderful. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for joining us with Church with the Two Drink Minimum.
Stay tuned for Something Genuine with Reverend Jacqueline.
We love each of you.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining
Listen to
us.
the voice that likes you. She'll tell you that we are one, and she'll tell you how to act like it.
Doggy!
Here we go.
Wee doggy!